In this tutorial, I'm going to quickly show you how to separate your colours ready for screen printing. So this will be done purely in Photoshop. We won't need to use any kind of RIP software or any extras. So let's get into it. Basically, this artwork will be used to be printed onto a white t-shirt. So essentially all we need to do is separate the black layer and the red layer. Everything else would be white because it's the t-shirt. So first of all, we make sure that we've got the image the correct size. We need to make sure that it is of a printable size. Now our print area for the front for this one is going to be 320. So 320 millimeters. Make sure that the resolution is 300 pixels per inch. Preserve detail, it should be fine because we're downscaling it, so there's not going to be any loss of detail in this. We click OK. So let's separate the red layer. Like with anything in Photoshop, there's several ways of getting the correct output. This is obviously just the way that I prefer to do it. So this is what I'll show you and go through with you now. So we start off with colour range, and this is just going to pick out the precise colour that we want to choose. So select the red there. So with this artwork, what we should be able to do is just select sort of a 130. This is just me knowing from experience that 130 works for this kind of artwork. It's going to take a little bit of fiddling about for you just to find out what works for you. And obviously it's all dependent on the artwork itself. But I know for this artwork, it's around about the 130 mark for fuzziness. Click OK. So now we've got this marquee area, which is essentially just selecting the red colour. Click on your marquee tool. And what we're going to do is mask this area off. So I create a new layer with a layer mask and then process it from there. So you click your marquee tool to bring up this option, select and mask. Click that, and then that will give us another option here where we can go to output and layer, new layer with layer mask. So that's going to create a new layer and the layer mask as well. As you can see, we've got that red layer now. So if we go back to the original one, now we're going to do the black. Colour range again, choose the black area, and with this one we should be able to push it up just a little bit further. Because we've got some finer details down here, we want to make those a little thicker. So if you bring it in, sort of, yeah, you might as well go a little bit further. Just because it's such a bold design anyway, you can kind of, it's a bit more forgiving. Click OK. Now I just want to show you that we've not selected all of that colour range just because it kind of drops off. It's got a little bit of a feather to it, this artwork. It was obviously drawn with a soft brush. So again, we've got the marquee tool, or the marquee selection area. Now if we go to the select and mask, and do exactly the same as we did previously on the output, new layer with layer mask, and click OK. So now we have the two layers. We've got the red and we've got the black. The problem is because it's because the artwork's been made with that sort of soft brush, we've got a little bit of a gap here, but we'll fix that by adding a stroke to it. So if we copy these layers over and turn those off, I just want to do that to make sure that I've got something to go back to later if needed. Create two new layers, just blank layers, and we're going to essentially flatten these layers into each other, just to make sure that we've not got that layer mask, because having a layer mask will stop us from adding a stroke to the layer. So we'll merge those two layers and do the same with layer 2, merge those layers. At this point it's probably good to label these. So this will be our red layer. and this is our black. So with the black layer, I'm just going to do a colour overlay of black. I want to make sure that I know what colour that is, and you can only really do that, or the easiest way to do that is by adding a colour layer. And then we're going to give it a little bit of a stroke of just 1 pixel for the black layer. That's sort of forcing a little bit of trapping. Just sort of turn it off and see how it affects it. You see, it's giving it quite a bit of trap there, but it doesn't really affect the artwork itself. We're going to do exactly the same with the red layer. I'll show you this with a red overlay just to illustrate it. So add another, we'll do 2 pixels. The reason I've done 2 pixels is because this layer is going to be the layer that sits under the black layer. So you print black over the red, and we want to sort of trap that colour in there. So if we go to the red layer on its own, I did a black, didn't I? The stroke. Do red for the stroke, just so we can see that it's that colour. So you can see that we've got some problems here. Now this is something that's come from the artwork being hand drawn. Because it's been hand drawn, it has some creeping colours coming out. All we're going to do is just erase those. It doesn't make any difference to the artwork, but you don't want that in there for when you're outputting your film. It'll cause more troubles than it's worth. There we are. So that's everything sorted. Turn on our black layer again, and you can see that we've got a nice bit of overlay, nice bit of trapping on there. So essentially, that's it. In order to print it, obviously we need to make the film positives. So what I then do is I change the stroke back to black, and the colour overlay back to black. That then gives us our 2 printable layers. Okay, so we'll want to print these now for the film outputs. We'll start off with the red layer. File and print. What you want to make sure of is that you're printing at 100% scale, because obviously you want to print that the exact size that you've specified, and add registration marks. So the registration marks will give you all these fancy reg marks just around the sides. And press print. You'll then want to go to your black layer, press print again. So this then should have saved all the previous settings. So scale 100%, registration marks already on there. And again, just press print, and that's you done. So that is essentially how you separate a raster file into separate colour layers for you to then go and screen print. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll have more videos coming up soon with more tips and tricks of how to create artwork or separate films of a more complex nature for your screen printing. Don't forget to subscribe and ding that bell if you want to be notified of any new videos that we've got coming up. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.